All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this and amazing new episode of the Reality Kenya. My name is Simi Kenya, of course. As usual, we bring you the new and the best conversations that you need to know concerning the state of our nation. And of course, from the usual learned corner, we have our guest, the Deputy Party Leader of Safina Party, Honorable WAKILI Willis Otieno. Piki Ponki. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Looking fresh once again.
Fresh, I'm in court doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
You know, now that we're in court, the Supreme Court did come up with a judgment that was challenging the Finance Bill Act 2023.
Yeah.
And it was a decision, a case challenging the decision of the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal had found that the Finance Act 2023 was unconstitutional.
Yes.
And within that judgment, there are two things to me which stands out. Number one was the challenge on the Appropriations Act. And we must call out the Supreme Court of Kenya when it's misbehaving.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, those justices are misbehaving. In our Constitution, Article 220 sets out what is called a budget. A budget is estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure. So even anybody in their own home, do your own budget. You start by how much you are going to earn. Then your expenditure.
How much you're going to spend.
How much you're going to spend. And your spending is based on your earning.
True.
You put that together is what we call a budget. You put estimates of revenue, estimates of expenditure, together we call it a budget. And it is passed by Parliament as an appropriations bill or act.
Yes.
Once assented to. Now these people come up with appropriations bills that only have estimates of expenditure, not estimates of revenue. They don't tell Kenyans where the revenue is going to come from. How do you budget without the revenue? It's not a budget.
That is what was presented in 2023.
That is what was presented in 2023 and even last year. And we are saying this is illegal. And the Supreme Court, when they posed the question, they posed the question whether the Appropriations Act included estimates of revenue.
Yes.
That question, once it is posed like that, it means that it ought to be there.
Yeah.
Then in their finding, they decide to say, overlook, we don't need to actually include the estimates of revenue. Then how is the budget?
And it's in the Constitution.
It's in the Constitution. They move away from their own advisory opinion, where they had said, in advisory opinion issued in a case between Council of Governors and Katiba Institute, where they said, the appropriations bill must have estimates of revenue
and expenditure.
That is what the budget is.
Yeah.
Now they do away with it. And Kenyans need to understand the mischief.
Yeah.
Why we insist that the estimates of revenue need to be there.
Why is it a must?
Because your revenue tells you are going to collect this much in VAT. You will collect this much in pay as you earn. You will collect this much in income tax. You will collect this much in stamp duty. You will collect this much in fuel levy. You will collect this much. All those charges.
Yeah.
It tells you the estimated revenue. You will collect this much in debt. You will borrow this much. And you will borrow this much to do this project. Because it will be the borrowing, and on the expenditure side, the project. You can see the project will be funded from the revenue borrowed from debt.
Yeah.
So in the expenditure, you write, this borrowing will go to expend it on this project. That is why it needs to be there.
Yeah.
Now the mischief is this. They refuse to disclose to you the revenue estimates so that you leave it open-ended. They start borrowing illegally. That is how illegal borrowing is taking place in this country. Because Parliament has not approved what borrowing should be taken and what project should fund.
Because they didn't put it where
it ought to be. It's not included in the Appropriations Act. And that is what the Supreme Court is perpetuating. So they are going to continue taking illegal debts, odious debts. And debt is taxed in advance. Because next year when that debt is due to be paid, the interest rates are due to be paid, it is your tax money that will be taken to pay for that debt. And the Supreme Court sits there to perpetuate this nonsense. We must call out those justices. They are not lords. They are subject to the Constitution. They are exercising a delegated authority from the people of Kenya. And when the Constitution tells you what a budget should be, who are you as Supreme Court to tell us that a budget can be made without a revenue expenditure estimates? That is illegal.
So it means that the ruling is illegal.
That ruling is illegal. It's unconstitutional. This is a case where the Supreme Court is trying to superintend over the Constitution and to usurp the provisions of the Constitution. We must call them out. And even if they think that they will stop us from going to that court like they did to Amenasir, we don't care.
Yeah.
This is nonsense. We must be true to our constitution, we must be true to our laws. Give us an appropriations bill, the budget, which has estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure.
Yeah.
But you are not going to allow illegal borrowings that is taxed in advance, that is going to continue messing up our people.
Yeah.
Because somebody wants to hide that they want to go and take domestic debt without any project being funded.
Yeah.
They want to go and take Eurobonds without any project being funded. It's not in the budget. So they're being given a carte blanche to borrow illegally. And this Supreme Court, we must revisit this Supreme Court. We've been patient with it as a people,
yes,
but the time has come now we must revisit that Supreme Court. Those justices are not serving the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
They seem to be serving Zakayo.
But it's the Supreme Court of the land. After making this particular decision, what is the way forward?
We will now go to the Court of Public Opinion. Because the ultimate sovereign,
yes,
the real Supreme Court is the Court of Public Opinion. Because the people are supreme. If the people have said in their constitution that you must give us estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure, who are you to say that you cannot give them both? You must have both of them. And they're trying to run away from that.
Yeah.
We must call out this nonsense from the Supreme Court of Kenya.
Yeah.
Those justices are no longer representing the true wish of the people. They are not interpreting the Constitution as expected.
Yeah.
If anything, the 7 of them are not any better than the Court of Appeal judges, than the High Court judges.
Yeah.
They all went to the same law schools. It's not that they have superior brains than these other judges who could see through this.
Yeah.
In fact, the sad thing about this is this. In the affidavit sworn by Professor Ndungu, the former CS of Treasury, he had said the estimates of revenue are in the Appropriations Act when it was in the High Court. He said it is there. So even the government admitted it needs to be there.
Yeah.
And he said it is there.
Yes.
And the court in the High Court thought it is actually that they didn't look.
Yes.
So they said, that's a requirement, it needs to be there. We confirmed, the Treasury CF has said it is there, so it is there. When it went to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal was simply asked them, open the page where it is.
Where is it?
The estimates of revenue are not there.
Yes.
Then it goes to the Supreme Court. They even now move away from what the petitioners are saying.
From even looking at the expenditure.
Because the government itself said it is there, that it ought to be there, and it is there. So the only contention was, is it there? Are the estimates of revenue part of the Appropriations Bill 2023?
Yeah.
The Treasury was saying, yes, it is there. The
Court of
other side was saying it is not there.
Yeah.
High Court didn't look, they said it is there. Court of Appeal said, open for us the page.
It was not.
It was not there. Then Supreme Court says, oh, actually, it doesn't even need to be there. Who are these? Who are you? What to see Wajenga, boy?
Yeah.
No, we must call people when they're trying to play around.
Yes.
Then they talk about public participation.
Yeah.
That there was enough public participation. Why are they not going to the content of that public participation, the quality of that public participation?
Yeah.
Because public participation must have meaning.
True.
Once the people have spoken at a public participation forum, you must give meaning to Article 10, which requires that you take into account. If over 90% of the people who presented memoranda rejected that finance bill, why are they saying that their views should be ignored? And even if the views are being ignored, where are the written reasons why these views of Kenyans are being ignored? It was never given. So when the Supreme Court says that there was public participation, what did the public say?
Or they just do it for formality?
Even if the courts have said when you're doing public participation, you must give reasons if you ignore what the public have said.
Yeah.
Give us reasons. Why are you not taking into account what the people have said? Now they are saying it was there. So they are telling us that you just go out there and talk to people, then you say you've done public participation.
Yes.
This Supreme Court is the weakest link. Yeah. These justices of the Supreme Court, we must call them out. And maybe what Nasir is saying, juris pesa, maybe there may be some truth in it. Because it's no longer law that they are applying.
It is no longer judiciary.
It's no longer judiciary, it's juris pesa. They are not dispensing jurisprudence.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some truth in what Ahmed Nasir is saying. And we invite Ahmed to tell us more of what this is. Because this is no longer the law that we studied. It's not the Constitution. And I'm not even saying only lawyers can find this. Any Kenyan. Look at Article 220. Budget is estimates of revenue, estimates of expenditure. Article 10, public participation. The people must participate. Why are they participating if you don't want to hear what they have said? Because that is what public participation is. You give people an opportunity to speak and you respond. They ignore all of that. using the Supreme Court.
But now, as we wind up, if you look at now the three arms of government that we have, the executive has always been accused of breaking the constitution and the law every time. Parliament the same, and now the only body that people have been looking up to actually safeguard the constitution is also now here breaking the constitution.
You know, we have judges in the High Court, Court of Appeal, even magistrates, who are toiling very hard and doing the Kenyan people justice. Right?
The Lord's work.
They're doing the Lord's work in giving justice, reading the Constitution as all of us know it. Then you have 7 people sitting at the Supreme Court who think they know it better than everybody else, coming up with decisions which don't make sense to any of us. There's only one Constitution. The same Constitution that was argued in the High Court, the same Constitution in the Court of Appeal, the same Constitution in the Supreme Court. Who do they think they are that they're arguing, interpreting it better than the others? Even as Kenyans who can read it. No.
Do you think it's controlled by the executive?
Of course, it seems that there's some state capture of that court. They are now being used as a vessel to undermine the rule of law. And these are the things that lead countries to strive. When the judiciary, and I want to say the judiciary, when the apex court, because you have Court of Appeal judges applying the law as we know it. We have the High Court applying the law as we know it. Who are these ones? Which constitution are they reading? They should tell us certainly that constitution. Because the one we are reading,
they are not using.
It seems they are not using it. They have come up with their own constitution. Then they should come up with their own republic and leave us alone.
And do you think, no, Wakili, as we wind up, now that the Finance Bill 2023 has been confirmed as constitutional by the Supreme Court, is it the one that now the government is going to use, yet we are in 2024 going to 2025?
Yes, they're going to use those amendments which were introduced. So they're going to increase. Kenyans are going to feel more pain. They're coming to raid your pockets. They're going to increase your taxes and levies and charges. So those you're going to see again new charges taking effect. They have actually confirmed those charges and levies which were in that Finance Bill of 2023. That is what is going to happen. So all this is pain to Kenyans. And ultimately, why the issue of revenue estimates is important, they are trying to run away from meeting their obligations, they are trying to take illegal debts, and they are collecting more money from you to pay for those illegal debts. That is the problem. That is why this conversation is important, that Kenyans need to put their finger on the debt. Because you're allowing people to just go and borrow helter-skelter. Take money legally, and then you come to take money from us to pay for that illegal debt. These things must stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And have a blessed day. Each and every person who has been watching, thank you so much. That is it on the ruling by the Supreme Court concerning the 2023 Finance Bill. And of course, our guest, the Deputy Party Leader of Safina Party, Honorable Wakili Willis OTIENO, has been breaking it for us down. And we thank you so much for always watching. May God bless you. Until next time, my name is Simi Kenya. Bye-bye.